What is up, Sports Geeks? It's your host, Josh, here back with another March Madness episode, joined by Nick. As always, Nick, we are getting after it tonight with several episodes coming out. We have here, so first of all, we just recorded 10 guys that you need to be watching out for come March Madness. So these are 10 players, maybe from mid majors, maybe from these smaller Power Five conferences or smaller team Power Five conferences that you need to be watching out for. So make sure to check that video out today, though, right here. We have 6 teams that you need to be looking for that probably will overperform, right? So this could be anywhere from a 6 seed that we think is going to win 2 games. This could be an 8 seed that we think is going to win 2 games or win 1 game and compete with the 1 seed. This could be a 3 seed that we think has a real shot to go to the Final Four. So there's some range in here. We could have maybe a 13 or a 14 seed that we think could upset somebody as well. So just keep an eye out for that. That's what this is. But today, let's just hop right into it, Nick. I'm going to start with my first team here, and this is going to be a hot team, I think, come a 12-5 upset. And I'm going to go with the McNeese State Cowboys. Look, this McNeese State team is a team in which, or just McNeese rather, not McNeese State. This McNeese team is a team that got a lot of hype last year, and then they went out last year and they got blown out.
Yeah.
And I know what a lot of teams are going to say is, or a lot of people are going to say is, this is the same. This is the same thing. They're statistically,
it's the same team, exactly
yeah.
same team, but
Well, and statistically, they're very similar to what they were last year.
Yeah.
It's the same group of guys. It's the same coach, Will Wade. But here's my thing: is last year was an outlier. You watch the game. Watch the first 10 minutes of that game. They're down 20.
Yeah.
Watch the final 30 minutes of the game, and they play even.
Yeah.
Because the first 10 minutes of the game, they couldn't hit a 3 to save their lives.
Mhm.
And so I understand that you can sit here and say that it's the same team, and that what's stopping them from having the same result. Well, last year was an outlier. This year, I genuinely think that they're going to, at the absolute minimum, push Clemson to the limits. I think this Clemson team is subject to be beaten. I don't think they're an elite team. I think they're kind of clinging or hanging on to that win against Duke at home, in which, in my opinion, the only reason they win that game is because Cooper Flag slips. So I think that this Clemson team, don't get me wrong, is a solid team, but I think McNeese has a real shot at upsetting them here in a couple of days.
I really like this pick. Actually, the more that we've went on, and since getting the bracket last night, I think another big thing with this game for McNeese is the fact that they're not playing Gonzaga.
Yeah, that was the thing, is Gonzaga couldn't miss that game.
They got a tough draw. I mean, don't get me wrong. If they probably face any other 5 seed in that tournament, or if they somehow would have dropped back to a 13 and played Kansas, in that same pod, they win. Is you got Gonzaga. You got to really. I mean, that was a team that they were a 5 seed. Probably wasn't a great seed for them. Probably could have been anywhere as good as maybe a 3 or a 4.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're looking at a Clemson team who took advantage, like we said, took advantage of a down ACC, was able to knock off Duke and Kentucky at home. Great wins. But you're at home, and you lost one of your better players in Dylan Hunter, who broke his hand and is most likely not going to play at all. Mm-hmm. He broke his hand, so it's looking like he's going to be completely out. He was one of their better guys, a guy that was in their starting lineup surely the whole year. Yes, his numbers aren't great, but he is a defensive ball hawk. I mean, he's only averaging 5.5 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. But he was a very, very big-time defensive guy that this Clemson team needed. And I think that kind of showed in their game against Louisville when they lost 76-73. Their defense wasn't great. Wasn't great. They had the easy advantage over Louisville inside, and they just got beat outright by guard play. I mean, you let Chucky Hepburn, you let Javon Hadley, you let Terrence Edwards Jr. have great days. And look at this McNeese team. Fantastic guards. They got really good guards. Like you said, it's the same team as last year, maybe even a little bit statistically better than they were last year.
Yeah.
But I think they got a lot better of a 5-12 matchup this year than they did last year. And no, I would agree with you. I think that I don't know if they're going to win the game, but I think they have a really, really good chance of pulling off that upset.
Yeah, and my final point about McNeese, and I'll turn it over to you for your first team, is that this team last year, like we said, difficult matchup against Gonzaga. Gonzaga came out and torched them from three in the first 10 minutes of that game.
Yep.
McNeese didn't hit anything. It was every single one of these guys' first tournament experience. Every
Yep.
single.
Yep.
So now you came out last year, you settled in after the first 5-10 minutes, and then you were fine. I think that the settling in period this year takes 3 to 5 minutes instead of
Yeah,
10.
it's got to be quick. It's got
And
to be
so
quick.
if you're settled in by the under 16, you're going to be fine. And if you don't dig yourself a double digit point hole in the first 5-10 minutes of this game,
Yeah.
you're going to be fine. So no, that's my final point about McNeese
Yeah.
State. It is McNeese State. I don't know why. I was thinking it's.
I don't know why they don't put State on there
No.
for.
Yeah, no. I was
They
checking
just
the
put
bracket. It
McNeese.
doesn't put State, but no, it's McNeese State. I was right all along.
Yeah.
Up yours, NCAA. Over to you for your first one, though.
My first team is it's chalky. They're a 3 seed. But I think this is a team that over the year continuously got better. And that's going to be Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really do like this Texas Tech team. I don't see any problem at all in their first round game against UNC Wilmington. I think after that they're going to get either Drake or Missouri, and I really don't see them having a problem with either of those.
Correct.
And then if you win that, I mean, you got what you want with St. John's, and I think that game literally could go either way. But if I had to lean a certain way, at least so far in my brackets, I've leaned that Texas Tech way. I just think JT Toppin is fantastic. You know, this is a team that shoots the light out of the basketball. Yes, we did see it a few times in this Big 12 tournament where they went cold and it was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I'm going to hold that against them. I think they're a team that's good enough to be able to keep themselves in the game. And, you know, I mean, you look at it, they average 81 points per game. They only give up 67. They're top 30 in assists. I mean, yes, their rebounding is down. They're only top 150. But they're just such a dynamic team. I really love the way they play basketball. And if there's a team hotter in the country right now besides Tech, I would love to see it. And I think that they got a pretty good draw with where they got to go.
Yeah, I will say this. So I agree, but I disagree here. I think Texas Tech to me is the most lock of a 3 seed to make the Sweet 16. I like them to get out of the first weekend, no matter what. I think Wisconsin could run into BYU. If you catch BYU on the wrong day, you're not beating them no matter what.
Yep.
Iowa State obviously is banged up. We've talked about them. Kentucky's banged up. We've talked about them. So I think of all those 3 seeds, I like Texas Tech to get out the best of that first weekend. I'm going to disagree with you in the sense that I actually strongly feel that St. John's beats Texas Tech. I think St. John's plays defense at a level that Texas Tech has only seen against Houston. And they should not have beat Houston when they did. And I don't think that they beat St. John's. So I disagree with you there, but I would say that I agree with you that they're going to make the Sweet 16, and in that Sweet 16 game against St. John's, it could go either way. I would agree with you in that sense. I would say I just think that St. John's is going to win because of that defensive presence, but I agree with you. I think this Texas Tech team is going to be in the Sweet 16 no matter what, and that if they make past St. John's, I think whoever wins that game can absolutely compete with Florida. And I agree with just about everything that you're saying. If they had Bama or Tennessee as their 2 seed, I think I would like them a little bit more. I also I'm not a Johnny's fan, but I've almost become a Johnny's fan over the course of the season watching them play. So do mind that I'm probably biased in that sense. But no, I'd love the Texas Tech pick there. I'm gonna go to a little bit of maybe an unpopular pick here. It's the Creighton Blue Jays. So give me Creighton here in the first round. I think that they beat Louisville. Louisville doesn't have a center. We've talked about this a couple of times here now.
I mean, we saw it. We saw it against Duke. Malawach did whatever he wanted to. It was
right. And if Malawach is doing whatever he wants to, I can promise you, Kalkbrenner is going to torment you. This is a terrible matchup for Louisville. A team that should have been higher than an 8 seed to start with. They should have been higher than an 8 seed. They got the worst 9 seed matchup that they could have gotten. In my opinion. So. This is difficult, right, for Louisville. I think this Creighton team wins in the first game because of Louisville's inability to have a center or inability to guard the post and lack of a center. In the second round game, you get to play against Janai Broome, probably National Player of the Year, and Auburn. And Ryan Kalkbrenner is the perfect defender to defend Johni Broome because he's so long that Johni Broome's little quick turn shot is going to get blocked a lot.
Yep.
And when he tries to bang with you down low, I don't want to sound like Charles Barkley, but when he tries to bang with you down low, Kalkbrenner can do that all day, and he'll still block you. So I think Kalkbrenner, I mean, 4-time defensive player of the year in the Big East. That is absurd. Don't get me wrong. Johni Broome is still going to get his probably 10 to 15, but it's going to have to work his butt off for it. And Kalkbrenner is very, very good on the offensive end. I think that Creighton, I'm not going to come out and say that I think they're going to beat Auburn because I think that's an ambitious, goal, an ambitious statement. But I genuinely think that this Auburn team will struggle more than people think against this Creighton team. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going into the under 4 timeouts and it's a 1 or 2 possession in the final 4 minutes of this game. So I think Creighton beats Louisville, which would already technically overperform as a 9 seed, getting an upset over the 8 seed. And then I think they really compete their asses off against Auburn.
I agree with that. I hated this matchup for Louisville. Obviously, Pat Kelsey literally went to my same high school that I went to. So seeing him get that matchup, it actually bummed me out a lot. I'm like, well, they don't have a center, and of course they're going up against Kalkbrenner, who is, I mean, almost always up for Big East Player of the Year, and then getting talked about All American teams. And now you're going to have like a 6'9" guy try to guard him. Like, here we go. I mean, the only way I see Louisville winning that game is if Chucky Hepburn, Terrence Edwards, and Hadley do what they did against Clemson. They just got to have days. Chucky Hepburn has to make Stephen Ashworth's life a living hell. And I think he can do that. Don't get me wrong. I think he can. I think this is probably one of the closer 8-9 matchups. I love that it's our first game of the whole tournament. But no, I agree. I think if Creighton gets through that, who knows what Auburn team you're going to get in that second round matchup? You really don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows if Auburn's going to bounce back from losing 3 out of 4 down the stretch. Nobody knows. And would I be shocked if Auburn came out and laid a dud? And next thing you know, Creighton has a great day because they can do that? No, I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised at all. But no, I think you're completely spot on with that. Like this little pod right here, there's just so many different outcomes of which way you could lean. And I think you'll see that in a lot of people's brackets. This is an 8-9 game where you're not consistently picking one side.
No.
You see a lot of different sides being picked, and then you got an Auburn team, and I heard a stat of it today. There's never been a team that's finished the year losing 3 out of 4 that's went on to win the national championship. And we talked about this is a team that's kind of facing an identity crisis right now because they've won too much throughout the year. And now it's hurting them at the end of the year because they think they're too good. They think they're better than they are. They're not a 1 seed because of what they've done down the stretch. And I think everybody knows that. I think everybody in the country knows that. They're a 1 seed because of their body of work the whole year. But are they going to get back to that body of work? And if they don't, I could see Creighton beating them. I could see Louisville beating them.
Yeah.
If Louisville's going to be playing in their own backyard, and you're going to have Auburn playing a road game. But no, I really do like that pick. I think you really don't know what you're going to get with Creighton, but they're obviously a veteran-heavy team. They have a great coach in McDermott. I kind of just now realized that I kind of went Big 12 heavy on my teams, and I apologize for that. I did not do that on purpose. But my next team is BYU.
Okay.
I love BYU. I love this team. Everybody's another just so far through the first 24 hours of having this bracket, everybody's hopping on VCU. And that's fine. I get it. It's a VCU team that took advantage of a not great A-10. I mean, the A-10 is basically playing the NIT this year. It's just it's literally their conference championship, just all over again in the NIT. But no, I mean, they're a good club. Don't get me wrong. They got Max Scholga. They were able to bring him back after Nova tried to poach him and get him to come over there to Philly. They're 28-6. They're a good team, but I think BYU is better. I think BYU is better than the 24-9 record they have. I think in all reality, you look what BYU did down the stretch. They finished after they lost back-to-back games. They lost at home against Arizona by 11, and then they somehow lost at Cincinnati by 18, in a blowout game that they really never even stood a chance. But after that, they finished the year going 10-1, and their only losses to Houston by 20 in the Big 12 tournament. And what I really hang my hat on is some of the wins that they have down this stretch. They have a win at West Virginia, who should have been a tournament team. They had a win versus, at the time, 23 Kansas, who's in the tournament field. They have a win at Arizona, who's in the field. They have a win at Iowa State in the field, 3 seed. A little bit damaged, but still in the field. And then they have another win versus Iowa State where they put up 96 points.
Yeah.
And if anybody watched that game, that is probably one of the more complete games I think I've seen by BYU all year. And if they can continue to play like that and find that same style of play, watch out, because I think they are legitimately that good of a team. I love what they've been able to do in year one. Yes, a lot of people are going to go back to seeing them, oh, well, they were in the bracket last year and they lost. Okay, but yeah, it's a different team. You caught a Duquesne team at the right time. They were hot. They had a big win in the A10 tournament to get themselves into the tournament. But you look at what this BYU team has done. I mean, they shot 50% from deep, made 18 threes in that game against Iowa State. They shot 52% from the field, 86% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
And they turned the ball over only 10 times. And they were able to turn Iowa State over 9.
Yeah. Well, this BYU team you take all the tournament teams that are in the field of 68 here. They make the most threes per game.
Yes.
More than Alabama, more than Missouri, right? More than Florida. They make more than all of those teams. And actually, you know who's second, Nick? Take a guess who's second.
The most threes is Liberty?
It's Akron.
Is it
Akron,
really?
3-point field goals made per game. So, so Akron and BYU actually tied at 10.7. Alabama's at 10.4. So they're all around the 10 mark there. But this BYU team shoots very well from three for the most part, and I think it's risky, right? We saw it last year, and that's when they lost first round. The style of basketball they play is risky, but if you make it out of the first game, which I do think that I understand you have a new coach, new system, and new system. It's really the same system.
I mean, it's the same system.
You have a new coach and everything, but very rarely do you see a team lose first round back-to-back years in an upset.
And when you lose last year, you bring back the same team besides any guys who graduated, which I don't think was more than 1 or 2, and you only lose Jackson Robinson. But you keep the same team.
Yeah.
It's almost the exact same team. Besides losing Ali Khalifa to Louisville, who's not even playing this year, and then Jackson Robinson. Other than that, it was almost the exact same basketball team.
Yeah. So I think this BYU team is plenty capable of lighting it up from three. And they're a team that like I think back to like the days of like Dunk City, right, with Florida Gulf Coast when they're throwing alley-oops, and their MO was we're gonna beat you with some unfundamental alley-oops, and we're gonna dunk all the time, and we're gonna make a run off of that. BYU is going to make a run off of just chucking threes. But the problem is they're not chucking threes because they're all very good looks, because
they don't take bad looks. Like even in the Iowa State game when they put up 36 threes, watching that game, they're not taking shots like Trey Johnson or Jeremy Fierzos, like we brought up in our top 10 players to watch. Like they are legitimate. Like we're running our offense, we're finding good looks, we have great ball movement, and we're going to take a good look at a three. We're not doing step back threes. We're not taking a contested heavy three because we have to. And I think that's what makes them, at least for me, a very good contender to upset Wisconsin in that second round and get them out early. No, I really do. I like the way that they play. I think it contrasts well with what Wisconsin does. And I mean, if Richie Saunders is able to guard John Tonje and limit him to, let's say, 10 to 12, I don't see why they don't win.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love that. So I think that thinking about a team that can beat Wisconsin too. Earlier in the season, they did it, and that's this Wisconsin, and that's this Illinois Fighting Illini team. Yeah. That's my third and final team here as we kind of transition here. Is Illinois has been fighting. We talked about this yesterday on the live stream. Illinois has been fighting injury, illness, really illness, but a little bit of injury all year.
But they've got the kitchen sink thrown at them.
But they're healthy now. Yep. And I think that's really dangerous when you get to play a team like Xavier or Texas, right? I mean, I think Xavier or Texas, both of them are capable of beating this Illinois team because this Illinois team is getting their pieces together. They have all their pieces back, but they haven't put them in the correct spots yet, right? Yeah. Because you're starting to finally play together. So I could very easily see this Illinois team losing by 20. If they don't,
Yeah.
maybe not 20, losing by 10 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
If they win this first game, which I do believe they will, I see it. I see a possibility in which they lose by 10 or 15, but I think they win. If they win this first game, I see them playing Tennessee in the Sweet 16, and I could see them even moving on to the Elite Eight
Yeah.
because
Yep.
this Illinois team can shoot the crap out of the ball. They rebound the guy. Like censor myself because there's not a word that can like describe how good this Illinois team is at rebounding the ball. Like
number three in the country in rebounds with 43 per game.
yeah, well, and the crazy thing is their leading rebounder average is 7.7. They are a gang rebounding team.
Yeah, all around.
6.7, 5.6, 5.4, 4.9, 4.1, 3.8. Everybody.
They gotta have one of the taller basketball rosters in the Big Ten, right?
Well,
in
the
all
thing
college
is
basketball.
you have like I don't really think so. You have Killen Boswell who's 6'2", right? I mean, like Ivasic is 7'1", right? So he's a big
Yeah.
guy. Morris Johnson is 6'9", right? I mean, Yakachonis is 6'6". Then you have Trey White who's 6'7". Yeah, Boswell's 6'2". Will Riley's probably 6'7", 6'8". Yeah.
6'8", yeah.
Like you only have one guy over 6'10" on your roster.
Yeah.
That plays. But the problem is that everybody crashes the glass so hard for this Illinois team. And I think that Yakachonis is talented enough in a game. He's somebody I probably should have included in my players to take over or players to watch. And if you watch that video, first of all, if you haven't watched that video, make sure you go check it out.
Yeah, go check it out.
Watch that video. Yakachonis is not listed, but I'm going to make him my 11th player right now.
There you go.
Our 11th player because he is somebody who is played overseas professionally, comes over here as a freshman.
Yeah.
He's got the experience of a professional player. And he can take over games. And I understand he's been rough down the stretch, but he has the ability to take over a game and to create at all three levels. And I think Yakachonis is the perfect star player that you need with the supporting cast that can rebound the absolute crap out of the ball. I love this Illinois team. They're a little bit risky to pick here because they have obviously the ability to lose in the first round because they're still getting their pieces put in the correct spots. But if they make it out of the first round, I think as soon as momentum starts to roll with this team, they are a really, really good basketball team.
Yeah, when I look at Illinois, I think the biggest problem with them, and it's been the problem all year, is their three-point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
They're a team that doesn't shoot the ball from the three-point line well at all. They shoot 31% as a team. And I think we've seen it in a lot of different games throughout the year. They just keep shooting it. They just keep shooting. It doesn't matter if it's going in. They don't change their stripes. They just keep shooting it. Now, I mean, let's say they get hot. Like we said, they get hot. We see them in the Sweet 16. We see them in the Elite Eight. But if they don't, could easily see X or Texas beating them. Either one. It depends. It really depends. Are they going to be a team that is disciplined enough from three to not just live and die by it? Are they going to be a team that, all right, you're going to make your threes. You're going to get. I mean, they shoot 30 per game.
Well, and I think that's where Yakachonis is so important. Is he is the guy on this team that gets to the rim and creates for others. That's not creating threes, right?
Yeah.
Like he can come off a pick and roll. He can throw it an absolute dot to O'Reilly on a backdoor, or he can throw a good slot pass to the big Z Ivasic there, and he can lay it up. So I think that Yakachonis' role is so important for this team in March here. But man, if they play well, they are one of the scariest teams. I look back to when they were fully healthy and played at Michigan State earlier in the year, right on that Sunday, and they were winning that game for the first half, the entire first half. They were right in that game all the way until the end. And that was a difficult Michigan State environment. And they're a 2-seed. Michigan State's a 2-seed. I mean, we don't need to hype up my Spartans.
Only lost by 2. I mean, it was a great game.
No, it was. So I really like this Illinois team, but enough is said about them. Over to you for your third and our sixth and final team here of the day.
All right. I'm going to give us a mid-major. We've talked about them a lot. They're being talked about a lot. They're being called the hottest team in basketball right now. Down the stretch, they're 15-2. They're a team that backdoored their way into the tournament. They are our only real bid stealer of March Madness this year, and that is Colorado State. I think this team is really, really special. In our top 10 players to watch, I brought up Nick Clifford. He is really the heart and soul, the backbone of this team. He's basically averaging a double-double. I mean, it's impressive when you see a guy who rebounds like he's a power forward center, but is only 6'6", and then he shoots and scores like he is a shooting guard, like he is. It's fantastic to see the splits that he has. Just looking at their pod, I mean, they're favored against Memphis. This is a Memphis team that all year they've been up and down. We saw what they did in Maui. They were fantastic. But then after that, once they started conference play, they had a lot of dogfights in conference play. This is a team that's got 2 quad 3 losses to some really bad teams in the American Athletic. And I get it. It's Memphis. They don't deserve this 5 seed at all. If anything, if it was me and I was making the bracket, I'd probably switch them and Louisville around. I think Louisville deserves a 5 more than Memphis does. I mean, you look at the top 10 for the seeds for the AP. I mean, I know we don't care about the AP poll anymore. But obviously the top 4 in the AP poll were 1 seeds. And then you just randomly got Louisville in there as the 9th overall team, and guess what? They're an 8 seed. And I saw it, I was like, that is actually insane. It blows my mind. But no, I think this Colorado State team is one of the hottest teams in basketball. They've proven that they can win. They've beaten the best teams in the Mountain West. They've competed all year, and they found their way into the tournament. And then guess what? You get rewarded as not only being the hottest team in basketball, but you get to play a Memphis team that's one hurt. Tyrese Hunter is most likely not going to play. They showed him on Sunday. He was in a walking boot and head crutches. So, all right, all you got to do is have Nick Clifford guard PJ Haggerty. Where else are you going to get scoring from on this Memphis team? There really isn't anything else there besides Dane Danger. All right, so what? Your big guy's going to give you maybe 12 or 15? That's capable of stopping. And I know this is probably going to be a really, really sexy upset pick with the 12 over the 5. But then you go and look how Vegas looks at it. They see as Colorado State's the better team. And I would agree with that. I think Colorado State is the overall better team in this matchup. But no, I think Colorado State can quite literally get through that. If they keep the momentum rolling, they're going to get a team in Maryland who we've talked about that only has a legitimate 5 guys. And that's been their problem all year. Have you seen it in games that they've lost? They don't have the depth to compete when things start to go wrong.
No, they don't.
They don't. And I think that's going to be a real issue because, I mean, what are you going to do if one of your 5 gets in foul trouble? What are you going to do if Derek Queen gets in foul trouble? And what are you going to do if Rodney Rice isn't hitting like he wasn't against Michigan and you lose? It's simply that's all it takes because you have nobody from your bench to put in for Rodney Rice, to sit him down, let him calm down, but still have a guy that can come in and give the same production. You just don't have that.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a really big problem for them down the stretch. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at one of the hottest teams in college basketball right now in Colorado State, and I love them. I think that they could easily make the Sweet 16 if they catch Maryland on a wrong night.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with you there about Colorado State. So, look, those are our 6 teams that we think are going to overperform their projections here come the tournament in 3 days.
3 days
away. We have first 4 games on tomorrow night. This is being recorded on Monday night. Will be posted Monday night or Tuesday morning here. We have first 4 games Tuesday, first 4 games Wednesday, and then we're into the swing.
It starts
Friday. That's what I'm talking about, Nick. Here we go,
baby. It's back.
So, no, look, those are our 6 teams there. So we also have our official bracket dropping tonight too. Make sure to check that one out as well. But other than that, this has been Sports Geeks Podcast. They play, we talk. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.
3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship. Catches, puts up a 3. Won't go.